My wife took my life-saving money and gave it to her lover to fill his financial gaps. She angrily told me, "Jimmy, you owe him this. If it weren't for you, he and I would have been together a long time ago. People like you deserve to die." As expected, I died, but then I was reborn on the day she confessed her love to him. This time, I didn't stop her. On my deathbed, Vivian dropped her facade. "Jimmy, do you know how much I hate you? We grew up together for so many years, but I haven't loved you for a long time. You forced me to marry you." As she spoke, tears rolled down her face, as if I had mistreated her all these years, but I hadn't. I always gave her the best of everything I could, handed over my paycheck as soon as I got it, got her concert tickets for her favorite singers, kept her out of the kitchen so she wouldn't deal with cooking smells, and constantly surprised her with little things. Outwardly, she'd say sweetly, "Thank you, husband, you're so good." In reality, she and Evan had been having an affair behind my back. It was only when I got sick and bedridden that she showed her true colors. "Jimmy, I gave the money to Evan. He needed it more than you. If his company goes bankrupt, he'll jump off a building." I couldn't speak. Swallowing felt like swallowing knives. Desperate tears soaked the white sheets beneath me. Was his life more valuable than mine? As I shed my last tear, the monitor's line went flat. When I opened my eyes again, warm sunlight was shining in my face. I looked around and saw classmates in school uniforms. I was baffled. At the front, the teacher called my name. "Jimmy, what are you daydreaming about? Stand up and answer this geometry question." I forgot how to solve the problem, but I knew one thing for sure. I was reborn. After getting chewed out by the teacher, Vivian next to me gave me a strange look. "Jimmy, you're acting weird today." I looked at the younger Vivian, still naive and pure. She added, "Today is the day I'm confessing to Evan. Are you jealous?" She smirked as she caught me staring at her. A classmate in front turned around to mock me. "Vivian, I think Jimmy can't get over you. He's jealous." Vivian's face lit up as if my attachment to her gave her pride. I remembered how, in my past life, she gave me a love letter to hand over to Evan. I promised her I'd do it, but I kept it instead, thinking Evan was a bad student, smoking, fighting, dyeing his hair, and always bullying younger students. Vivian and I were the model students, always at the top of our class, the golden couple as everyone would say. I liked Vivian. She was gentle, pretty, and well-behaved. But Evan changed everything. When our relationship was still salvageable, I asked her why she was so into Evan. She rested her chin on her palm and said without hesitation, "Because he makes me feel free. We're both caged birds, aren't we? Free caged birds?" But his behavior wasn't freedom. It was reckless abandon. That was our first argument since childhood. But this time, I shook my head and said, "No, I hope you two get together." This was a stark contrast to my previous opposition, which left Vivian with an indescribable look in her eyes. The classmates around us were surprised by my response. Vivian's face fell, but she tried to save face. "I know Jimmy. He always says the opposite. He's stubborn." I just smiled and said nothing more. After school, I took the love letter she gave me to Evan. She grabbed my arm. "Are you really going?" Without thinking, I nodded. Isn't this what she wanted? She blinked, looking a bit disappointed, but let go of my arm. I handed Evan the letter, a small but significant task accomplished. Last time, I kept the letter, and when she found out, she screamed at me, "Jimmy, how could you be so cruel?" She pointed downstairs at Evan, who was playing basketball, an attractive girl handing him a water bottle. He unscrewed the cap, his Adam's apple bobbing as he drank deeply. The sun made the sweat on his cheeks glisten, making him look full of youthful spirit. Then, he ruffled the girl's hair and continued his game. Vivian's eyes filled with tears, and she pounded my shoulder. "It's all your fault. Now he has a girlfriend." I bore the physical and emotional pain without regret. But after that incident, Vivian started distancing herself from me. Even though we were classmates, she wouldn't talk to me. Despite being neighbors, she no longer walked home with me after school. We became the closest strangers. 2 weeks passed in a flash, and the monthly exam results were in. To my surprise, I ranked first in the grade, whereas Vivian, who always held that spot, fell out of the top 50. I felt it necessary to have a talk with her. You're just showing off, aren't you? Trying to rub your good grades in my face, Jimmy? She snapped at me when I offered to help her catch up with her schoolwork. I gently encouraged her. Vivian, I don't care if you're dating or whatever, but you shouldn't give up on your studies. I wasn't sure if she heard me. She grabbed her bag, slinging it over her shoulder, and said coldly, "Don't act so high and mighty." With that, she headed for the classroom door. I looked up and saw Evan. He kindly took the backpack off Vivian and carried it himself. They walked away chatting and laughing, but the laughter slowly faded. The one left feeling down was just me. A few days later, Vivian's mom came over to our house. She pulled me aside while my parents were cooking and asked, "Jimmy, have you and Vivian had a fight? She hasn't mentioned you in a while." I shook my head to show that we hadn't. Seeing my response, her eyebrows began to relax. Then she asked me for a favor. "Jimmy, lately Vivian leaves home really early without eating breakfast. Could you help keep an eye on her for me?" I nodded. So, I started bringing 2 breakfasts to school each morning. Vivian would see them on the table, a peeled egg and a cup of soy milk, and push them aside. After our morning class, she tossed them in the trash. The next day was the same, and she threw them away again. On the 3rd day, she finally snapped, "Jimmy, I know you like me, but can you stop this?" I hate it. I felt a knot of sadness inside, but no tears came out. Lily, who sat in front of me, chimed in with a sneer. "Some people just don't get it, doing everything for someone who's not interested." After that day, everyone called me Vivian's simp, but I didn't care. I kept bringing her different breakfasts every day, just to fulfill her mom's request. One day, our homeroom teacher called Vivian to the office, and I saw that her mom had followed her in. My classmates were buzzing. "I heard Vivian's mom found out she's dating someone and they're in trouble now. Who do you think snitched? Maybe it was Jimmy. Must have been him. Vivian's been ignoring him despite the breakfasts, and he got desperate and tattled." I kept writing my math problems, ignoring them with my headphones on. Much later, Vivian angrily yanked my headphones off. She was furious, screaming, "Are you happy now, Jimmy? We're broken up. You're just a cowardly snitch." She blamed everything on me but never questioned her and Evan's relationship. I just calmly said, "Vivian, I never told anyone. It's your own mistake." No one believed me at this point. Everyone started isolating me, but I continued on my own, unconcerned with unnecessary socializing. I still brought her breakfast every day. My grades came in and I was number 1 in our grade. This continued until our college entrance exams. Vivian's attitude softened towards me as I persistently brought her breakfast. Her mom came to me again when Vivian had dropped from the top class and was upset. "Hank, Vivian's so stubborn. Please help her again," her mom pleaded. I remembered the year my dad had an accident on a construction site and her family didn't hesitate to help pay for his treatment. I owed them that gratitude. I started tutoring Vivian. On the surface, things seemed back to normal. Later, we both got into the same university and married under family pressure. But underneath it all, Vivian never learned gratitude. I trusted her, but she betrayed me. The next day, while I was studying vocabulary, Lily in front giggled, "Guess what? Vivian and Evan are back together." Someone asked how she knew. She mimicked, "I saw them hugging and kissing in front of that building earlier this morning." She nudged me, practically dying to gossip in my ear, but I kept reciting my vocabulary with a steady face. Seeing no reaction, she asked, "Jimmy, were you pretending to like Vivian all along? Didn't you grow up together?" I put the book down, feigning helplessness. "So what if I did? She's got someone else now. Nothing I can do." She got interested and tugged my arm. "I could teach you how to win her back." Her determination amused me. It's like girls always like those drama-filled stories. But I didn't care anymore. I shook my head, chuckling, not interested. "Let me study." She droned on, losing interest. Soon, Vivian sat beside me, blushing, clearly in a good mood. She grabbed my hand excitedly. "Thank you, Jimmy. You won't believe how buff he is. I shook my head in disbelief and gave her a word of advice. Vivian, focus on your studies. Her smile vanished, replaced by cold words. Mind your own business. Second place. At that time, Vivian was still the top student. Her taunt went unfazed by me, as I respected people's destiny. You pay a price for meddling in others' lives. Vivian, in love, was unstoppable. Every morning before class, she met Evan in the school grove. During class, she'd rest her chin on her hand, gazing outside. She'd rave about Evan. He's so gentle, always bringing me breakfast and making sure I eat. He's bought me gaming skins too. And even though I never liked games, now I can't help it. His family's rich. For his birthday, he threw a huge party at his house. It's enormous. I listened to her rambling, lost in her dream, unable to pull away. Not long after, just like in my previous life, her mom came over for a visit looking all worried. History has a funny way of repeating itself. My parents were in the kitchen cooking, while Aunt Jo and I were sitting on the couch. She started asking me about Vivian. Jimmy, have you and Vivian had a fight recently? I haven't heard her mention you in ages. I shook my head just like last time, saying no, and I tried to reassure her. Auntie, she's probably just really busy with her schoolwork these days. Her expression relaxed, and then she asked me for a favor. That's good to hear. Auntie needs your help with something. Lately, she's been skipping breakfast. Can you take care of that? This time, I shook my head firmly and refused. Of course, I wouldn't forget the kindness her family showed my dad, so I deflected by saying, Aunt Jo, I'll keep an eye on her for you, but it's better if she brings her own breakfast, because she's a smart woman. She realized she overstepped and apologized. For once, saying no felt easy. The next day, I kept my promise and told Vivian about what her mom said when she got back. Immediately, she got defensive, staring at me seriously. Stay out of my business. I shrugged it off and said calmly, Vivian, I'm not trying to interfere. Your mom's just concerned. Oh, concerned? Huh? I don't need it. And I sure as hell don't need your concern. You're just being overdramatic. You still have feelings for me, don't you? What a lame excuse. She laughed mockingly. I stayed cool, didn't argue back. I stopped bringing up her mom's concerns, but Vivian's hostility remained. Evan and his crew soon cornered me in an alley on my way home. With a sneer, Evan said, even if you're just delivering Vivian's love letters to me, why mess with her again? Vivian must have added some drama about me reminding her to eat breakfast, twisting it into something entirely different in Evan's ear. Surrounded in that alley, I couldn't defend myself against all of them. They beat me up for a good 20 minutes until I started coughing up blood. When I was found, an hour had already passed. I was in bad shape and ended up in the hospital. When Wendy, Vivian's mom, learned Vivian was partially to blame, she rushed to the hospital. Gripping Vivian's arm tightly, she scolded her, apologized to Jimmy. I told him to remind you to eat, and you sent people to beat him up like this? Seeing me lying there bandaged up, her eyes were filled with regret, but her lips stayed sealed, unable to apologize. My parents, looking disappointed, said to Aunt Jo, we'll take care of Jimmy. Take your daughter and leave. The police soon tracked down Evan's house. His parents were businesspeople and were dismissive. Just settle it with some money. They offered us $20,000 as long as we didn't press charges. But my parents wouldn't budge. They wanted Evan expelled. Time passed, dragging everything out. Because of all this, I missed my chance for a scholarship. Vivian started skipping classes a lot. The empty seat next to me started collecting dust. I told my parents, I want to learn street dance and maybe model. After much convincing and promising that my grades wouldn't slip, they signed me up for classes. I stuck with my schoolwork and started getting fit, finally shaping up. Turns out I was getting six-pack abs and a boost of confidence. Meanwhile, I saw less and less of Vivian, until one day when I went to an internet cafe to fill out a form on a computer. Inside, it was fogged with smoke. I found my computer and saw a thin version of Vivian in a tank top. A butterfly was inked on her arm, and she held a cigarette between her slim fingers. She glanced back at me, and our eyes met. "Vivian?" I muttered, barely believing it. She put out her cigarette and asked, "What's a good student like you doing in an internet cafe? Want a game with us?" All I could do was sigh at how life twists and turns. Behind her, focused intently on his game, was Evan. He didn't notice me, still engrossed in his screen, spewing curses. Seeing her like this, I struggled to find words. I wanted to tell her to come back to school, but it was her choice, so I stayed silent. Later, I learned from my parents why she changed so much. Her parents divorced because her mom thought her dad was unrealistic, always chasing after dreams rather than being practical. Her dad was an artist who stayed home a lot, selling his paintings to make a living. Her mom couldn't take the instability and frequent traveling, so she eventually left. Vivian lost her dad and placed that need for fatherly love onto someone completely opposite. Evan. "I'm gonna be with him. I only feel free when I'm with Evan." She expressed her anger at her mom through rebellion. After putting in a lot of work on my street dance skills and improving my own aura, someone discovered me while I was out shopping. My height was already an advantage, so when they saw me, they were impressed. I danced a short street routine and they liked it. When they asked if I was interested in acting, I nodded. After all, life is a wide open field, not a track. I want to make the most of my talents while making sure I don't lose focus on my studies. So, I joined some professional skills training, and my days were fuller than ever. In my spare time, I even played some small roles in acting gigs. Besides that, I started my own social media account, sharing videos of my acting and training sessions. I quickly gained a large following. I couldn't help but think back to the past, to Jimmy, who deeply loved Vivian. Jimmy, who was hopelessly and shamelessly devoted to Vivian. All his concern was for Vivian's happiness, never focusing on himself. She wasn't always a cold girl, you know. Since our families met, she often came over to my place to play. "Hey big bro, is this your candy?" She'd point at the candy on the table and ask in this cute little voice. Seeing her adorable with her pigtails, I'd grab a handful of candy and give it to her. "There you go, all yours." She'd smile so sweetly. Her little dimples were the cutest. My childhood was filled with her calling me Jimmy bro, and her chasing me around everywhere. Thinking of it now, her face, marked by the world, appears in my mind. How things change, you know. Time flew by and we soon faced the college entrance exams. I hardly saw Vivian during that time, until one afternoon, a week before the exams, her mom showed up in our class. She looked a lot more worn out, with even some gray hairs showing. While packing up the dusty books on Vivian's desk, she started chatting with me. "Jimmy, is it truly my fault?" I shook my head. Everyone makes their own choices and must deal with the consequences. I helped her pack Vivian's books. Then suddenly, a voice, "Wendy, did I ask you to touch my stuff?" I turned to see Vivian standing at the classroom door, wearing a much too short skirt. In just a few strides, she was in front of us, eyes full of anger. Wendy's her mom's name. She knocked the books from our hands onto the floor. With a sarcastic tone, she said, "I don't want anything you've touched. I told you I'm not doing the exams. Once I graduate, I'm marrying Evan." A loud slap cracked through the room. A bright red handprint appeared on Vivian's cheek. Crying uncontrollably, she held her face. Wendy vented her frustration. "I can't believe I raised such an ungrateful brat. Ditching outstanding Jimmy for those shady types." Vivian shot me a disdainful look and said, "He doesn't even like me." He handed a love letter to Evan himself. "Blame him for ruining your daughter's future. Me? I'm stuck. If I care, she hates me. If I don't, she blames me." I packed my bag and walked out of the classroom right in front of them. It rained hard during those 3 exam days. The warm air was oppressive, but I stayed focused and did what needed to be done. Stepping out of the school, I was surrounded by a crowd, fans and reporters alike. I was the first to finish the test and leave the school. They swarmed, asking, "Jimmy, as a top student and actor, any advice for those about to take the exams?" Clearing my throat, I smiled and said, "Focus on yourselves. Don't let anything distract you." The right people are part of your future. They applauded my words. In the crowd, I caught a glimpse of Vivian, but she was gone in a flash. The rain poured for a long time. Even as Mom called me for dinner, I was still spaced out. Jimmy, what are you thinking? I just smiled awkwardly, shoveling food into my mouth. During dinner, Mom mentioned, I heard Vivian didn't even turn up for the exams. Such a bright girl, and now she's ruined. A pang hit my heart, recalling Vivian's words to her mom. Blame him for ruining your daughter's future. A shiver ran through me as I left my unfinished meal and went to my room. Was it really my fault? A few days later, the class president organized a reunion in the group chat. On the attendee list, I saw Vivian's name. Not planning to go initially, I messaged the president. Vivian's coming too? Yeah, is the star coming too? Sending a laughing, crying emoji, I replied, yeah, I'll be there. Since Vivian's mom remarried, Vivian rarely went home. At first, I'd see her posts on social media with her boyfriend Evan, going places together. I always liked her posts until just before the exams, when her updates stopped. I searched for her, only to realize I couldn't access her feed anymore. A simple hey text from me revealed a glaring red exclamation point. Turned out I'd been blocked for a while. I was unfazed until the class reunion. When I got to the KTV booth, Vivian wasn't dressed provocatively this time, just a white t-shirt and denim shorts. She sat alone in the corner, staring at her phone. Back in the day, she'd be surrounded by friends. Now she seemed so isolated. Meanwhile, classmates I hardly knew vied for a seat near me. Jimmy, never knew you had it in you. I watched your show. You really brought the character to life. Could I get your autograph? I'd be so proud when you become a superstar. A swarm of brown-nosing classmates surrounded me. I handled them while looking over at Vivian in the corner. When Lily saw my eyes fixed on Vivian, she took the chance to rub salt in the wound. Jimmy, Vivian really has no taste. She let a promising guy like you go for some lowlife. She didn't work hard either, just dreaming of marrying into a rich family. Serves her right to get ditched. She said this loudly on purpose, making sure everyone heard. Vivian went pale, unable to respond. Then, she grabbed a white handbag and dashed out of the room. I ran after her. There were things that needed to be cleared up. She headed to the rooftop and I followed her out of breath until we both reached the edge. We stood there, the evening breeze playing with her smooth hair. After a while, she finally spoke, her eyes red. Are you here to laugh at me? You're now a red-hot star, and I'm the one who got dumped. I wasn't sure what to say at that moment. After a long silence, she started to cry, hugging herself. Her sobs grew louder until they finally subsided. I envy you, envy your complete family. Do you know why I loved Evan? Because like me, he didn't have a dad. I just wanted to be like him, living without caring about what others think. I eventually replied, but he's him and you're you. He can afford to live like that, but can you? Evan comes from a wealthy family. The inheritance from his father is enough for him to squander for lifetimes. We are ordinary folks. We must work extra hard just to achieve a bit of security. Instead of pinning hopes on others, why not on yourself? Vivian must have felt bitter too. Suddenly, she hugged me, crying. I was wrong. I shouldn't have self-destructed like this. Seeing my mom close to you made me transfer my hatred to you. I didn't think you'd give that love letter to Evan. I just wanted to test you, to make you jealous. Can we start over, Jimmy? If it weren't for the lessons from my past life, I might have believed her. But faced with the hard facts, I just smiled. Once a person becomes dissatisfied with the current situation, they can start to idealize an untraveled path. The tricky thing is, a person can't walk two paths at once. I smiled in the breeze and said, if Evan was good to you, you wouldn't apologize. Heck, you wouldn't even be here saying all this. Those words hit home. She trembled and said, he fell for someone else both times. I stared at her, shocked, and she nodded. Sorry, Jimmy. After you died, his company turned around thanks to the money you risked your life for. He still ended up marrying a woman he met just days before. I was driven to jump off a building by the end of it all. I'm still such a fool, thinking I could change him, but turns out she, like me, had come back to life after dying. After the college entrance exam results, I got into the nation's top film school. Along the way, I met industry elites, climbing the career ladder. Years later, holding my wife's hand and my son in my arms, I returned to our alma mater. To my surprise, I saw that familiar thin figure from afar. The principal smiled, telling me, "That cleaning lady, she was in your class, I think. Named Vivian, yeah. Heard she saved her first love once. Got hit by a car. Though she survived, it left her a bit muddled. Bad luck. Her first love squandered everything, then fled overseas with a mountain of debt." I nodded thoughtfully. Vivian never escaped the prison she built for herself. That's her fate, I guess. My wife noticed my long pause and asked, "Do you know that woman?" Staring at the ragged Vivian, I shook my head after a while. No clue. Must be someone who's had a tough life. Yeah. After word got out about my return, Vivian's mom unexpectedly called me. "Jimmy, I heard you came back." She might have been my family's lifesaver, but she was always gracious. I responded warmly, "Yes, Auntie." After some polite chit-chat, she finally said, "Jimmy, I have an awkward request." I said I'd do it, knowing it was time. "You can't run forever." She spoke. "Over the years, I've known you became successful. I didn't want to trouble you, so I stayed away. Vivian heard you were back and insisted on seeing you. She's been quite unstable." After hanging up, I left for our alma mater's gates, which I had visited that morning. There was this bubble tea place we'd frequented as kids. When I pushed open the door, I saw Vivian, older looking despite her school uniform. She was in the spot we used to do our homework together. Nostalgia made everything feel dreamlike. We were no longer those people. "You're back, Jimmy?" She smiled sweetly, calling my name. Life had been good to me, and I'd forgotten both love and hate for her. She acted as if she didn't remember a thing and ordered 2 cups of bubble tea, the kind we loved as kids but rarely had. Her mom entered, thanking me. "Thank you, Jimmy." She looked decades older, worn out. "Vivian doesn't remember anyone but you now." Auntie started to choke up. Once I thought I'd feel satisfied seeing Vivian suffer. Truth is, I didn't, but I didn't regret ignoring her before either. I grinned. "Vivian, I'm back." I wished her well and added, "We won't be seeing each other anymore." I don't remember leaving that cafe or how hard she cried. Behind her, her heartfelt voice rang out in repentance. "I was wrong. Jimmy, I'm sorry."